have a good night. It's now just about 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the Bahamas, and I think we may have some people also joining from other parts of the Caribbean and also other parts of the world. I guess we can start by just dropping in where you're watching from. If it's somewhere in the Bahamas, which island, you know, which area, you can drop that in, and also which country, because I think we have people from different countries watching as well. So that would be good to know where everyone is watching from. Good night. Welcome guys, welcome. Dropping where you're watching from. Where are you watching from? Okay, I see Abaco. We have Abaco, Nassau, a lot of Bahamas. Beautiful, beautiful. We were able to get a lot of people from the Bahamas. Andros, Nassau, Canada. Lovely, lovely. All right, Freeport. Well, that's where I'm streaming from. Welcome, Freeport. Good night, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Grand Bahama, Nassau. Perfect, perfect. Ghana. Welcome, my friend. Welcome back. Question at some point. So I'm estimating that the Q&A session will be around 7 p.m. I'll go ahead and I'll set an alarm for that so that I don't go over, and I would cover all of the questions at that point. So I'll do that right now. But as you continue to come in, as you join us, go ahead and drop in where you're watching from, and I will continue the live stream talking about how we can start working online, whether it's in the Bahamas, because I know we have a lot of Bahamians on here. I really was trying to get a lot of my people in the Bahamas, in the Caribbean, to learn what I've been able to discover in 2010. Okay, it's so good to see you guys. So good to see a lot of you who are interested in this. I'm grateful to be able to share this information. No one has ever given this information to me, but I was able to find out, get some experience, and live this. And people who know me personally, you would have memories of me just being home working, or me being on the computer, or me being somewhere with a headset on or whatever. Like, I've been doing this for a long time, and I think it's an amazing opportunity. I'll get into the details. I got a lot of questions earlier. Again, it's just letting you guys know a little background of how I even got into this working online world. As a person born and raised in the Bahamas, I remember back in 2008, 2007 or so, I just remember trying so hard, you know, as someone who was fresh out of school, trying to find opportunities. And it was a really bad time at the point. It was, you know, the economic recession, global recession. So a lot of people were not hiring. That was the point there. At that point, it was just nothing available. And it wasn't even just, okay, you're young, but it was like the people who were hiring at that time were people who were hiring specifically already experienced people. They didn't want people fresh out of school. So fast forward about 2 years later, this is after trying to acquire skills and stuff that I thought would be able to work when I do get a proper job. I was able to discover how to work online. I had been just doing what a lot of you probably did. I did what a lot of you have probably did, which is go on Google and search and sign up for a bunch of sites. And I remember when I first started signing up, I saw a lot of them saying, if you want to work online, you need to pay a couple $100, you need to pay. And to me, it didn't make sense. Why must I need to pay to work online? I want to work. The whole point of me starting to work is because I want to start making money. So I went through a lot of those different sites that claim to offer online working opportunities, and I was able to settle on this particular one. There are a lot of other sites and a lot of other online working opportunities that are out there, but tonight's session is only going to be talking about Upwork.com. So I guess I could drop it in the chat. I think I have the ability to do that. So Upwork.com. That's what we're talking about tonight. Upwork. All right, Upwork.com. All right, thank you so much for dropping that. So Upwork.com, that's exactly what we're covering tonight. And the reason I had decided on Upwork is because it just was the more reliable one for me. But before we get into all of that, let me just start by saying that I know a lot of people are really grateful for this opportunity. A lot of people have reached out to me. A lot of people have told me, you know, they had a lot of questions, they had a lot of concerns, they were a little bit skeptical. You know, some people may have tried different opportunities, and they say, us content creators, you can't really trust us. You don't really know who's real and who's not real, who's trying to help someone and who's not helping someone. So I understand that, and I have been able to speak with a lot of you guys personally. I have been able to reach out and talk to some of you, and I heard your concerns. And tonight I want everyone to feel seen, to be heard, and also to be respected. Having the ability to make money at any point, every dollar gives you freedom, every dollar gives you power. And I feel the ability to empower yourself with these working opportunities is something that you could never really lose. At the end of the day, you guys will have this tool. This will be something else in your back pocket that you will always have to work with. So I just wanted to start by saying that I shared my story, how I started, and I have my computer here. I have everything here because a lot of people have been asking questions. So at any point, maybe during the Q&A, if we're gonna look at anything, we can cover that. But what we'll start at, you know, I talked about how I started. So if I could recall my very first job on Upwork, I would say it was probably a writing job. But let's take a step back. Let's take a step back and let's take a look at what exactly is working online. Let's break this down, because a lot of people, this is a new concept. I know for me, this is something that has been going on since 2010. So it's not new to me, but a lot of you watching have never heard of the concept, or at least never believed it was something that was possible. So let's start with that. Working online, being a freelancer. A freelancer is essentially someone who is on the computer, remote, however. So if I had a company in the United States or Canada, and I needed someone to help me with my bookkeeping, with my graphic design, with my sales, with answering my phone, whatever it is that I need assistance with, I would hire someone as a freelancer. And that's the difference between a freelancer and someone who is working physically at a job, is that the freelancer isn't at the job. They're physically not there, so they're remote. And also the employer doesn't have to pay for your life benefits, so like pension, insurance, a lot of those things that are mandatory when an employer hires an employee. That is essentially what a freelancer is. So the freelancer is not like the full-time employee. Even if you're full-time, not every job online is going to give you all of those benefits, and if they do, it would be way less than what they would normally pay for their people locally. The reason people hire people to work online is because they're trying to save a few dollars. When they hire people, for example, an office location in New York, for them to pay for someone to live and work in New York, they have to pay those people at least $100,000 to be able to live, to have an apartment, to be able to cover their expenses and everything else. So instead of all of those companies hiring people in their location, they go online, they go on these websites like Upwork, and they hire someone who can work, well, I wouldn't say the same price, but you know, you're not going to get the full everything, but you're going to get something that would be just about equivalent to local wages and a little bit more in some cases. So it's a different experience, it's a different perspective, it's a different world, and I'm here to share this world with you guys, and I want you guys to see the difference. It's still work. You're working with real companies. I've worked with a lot of companies over the years. I've worked with Canadian companies, companies in Germany, companies in Australia. So my first introduction to search engine optimization, or SEO, was working with an Australian company, kind of like an internship position. That's how I learned how to do search engine optimization. Working with a company across the globe, for little or nothing, but the amount of information, knowledge, experience that I got from that, I was able to make that money so many times over. So I feel the opportunity to work online, to work with these major companies, even smaller companies. Some of them are niche companies that specialize in things like SEO. You learn from those people, you get the skill, you can do a lot more than you think with that. So that's just the whole introduction, guys. So let's see what we have next. I don't want to skip anything. I have my list, make sure we cover everything for you guys who have been patiently waiting for this live. So I talked about the background. Yeah, so online, working online, it's something that is real, it's legal. I've gotten a lot of questions about, okay, I hear you, but do I need a degree? I need a college degree. I need anything special to be making this money online. What do I need? Tell me what I need. So the thing is, there are different levels to this. Yeah, obviously they have jobs that require more education, more certifications, but from what I've seen, a lot of those jobs, they are more concerned about seeing how well you can perform. They are concerned about seeing how well you follow your instructions. And yeah, the degree does come in at some point, but there are a lot of entry-level jobs. So there are employers who are willing to pay you to do a lot of entry-level positions. They are willing to pay you to do things that are not technical. I think another concern that I had from people is, are these things going to be super technical? Do I need to learn something, a special skill in order to work online? And the truth of the matter is, yes, it can be technical, but it also doesn't have to be. You can be on TikTok, like you're watching this live right now. You're watching my video, you see the comments, you're on TikTok, and what you could be doing as someone that's working a company like that, you could be on and you could just be looking at the comments and saying, oh, okay, monitoring the comments. That can be an actual job. There are people getting paid to be in Discords and Telegrams and those little private chats, WhatsApp groups. They're getting paid to monitor those chats. They're getting paid to monitor Facebook. They're getting paid to monitor so many different pages. You don't need a degree for that. You only need a cell phone and some internet, and you're able to do just that. Literally, you're able to do just that. So there are some things that I talked about, and that was one of the concerns. Degree. The next concern was, am I able to get paid in the Bahamas? How do I get my money? A lot. I heard all of your questions. I have been receiving money to my Bahamian bank account. I had a Royal bank account at one point and a Scotia bank account, and I've been able to receive money to both of them using wire transfer. So that's like, you put some money on someone's account, it just goes through. So you basically upload your wire transfer information. If you don't have that, you can go to your bank and you can get that information, and when you sign up, you can add that, especially when it's time for you to take your money out of the computer. Okay, because that was a big concern. Even for me, I just remember thinking, yeah, I'm making this money online, but I need to touch my money. And the first thing that I thought about was, okay, well, and people just use PayPal to take their money out the computer. Like, I was trying to figure out how this thing's supposed to work, but fortunately, we do not need to use PayPal to be able to withdraw our money. You can literally just attach your regular bank account to your account, and that's it. So you know when you get paid, you can touch that money. And for me, that was a big concern, because I was like, I am not putting in all these hours for nothing. I need to see my money. I need to touch my money. I work for this. Okay, so that was something. So I covered all of those. Let's see what I have next. Getting started. So I had questions about getting started, creating an account, and how do you go about and do that? How do you start on Upwork.com? How do you make an account? How do you set it all up? Right? So the first thing you do, you go to Upwork.com, you go to the website, they ask you for your basic information, your name, your email, the regular things. When you sign up for something, you fill all of that out. there comes a point where you have to complete a profile. The profile will contain the information that is typically on your resume. So things like the jobs you've done, the certifications that you have, the type of experiences, the organizations that you've been a part of, community service, whatever it is that really makes you stand out as an individual, you can put at some point on your Upwork profile. Okay, so you set that up, you complete that, and Upwork is really user-friendly. When you're scrolling through, it always tells you, okay, how much percent is completed on your profile, how much more you need to complete. So you can literally go on there and it's gonna say, okay, your profile is 0%